Good morning and good morning. Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Roundtable Talk Show. I am your host, Sharifa Hardy, and I have an incredible show for you today. And I can tell you right now, this show is going to be good. Why? Because it's Friday, and we all know what happens on Friday. I didn't tell my guests, but there are two shows you do not want to be on. That's my Monday show and my Friday show. Why? Because on Monday, I've had way too much sleep. Friday, I haven't had enough sleep. So only the good Lord knows what I'm about to say, what I'm about to ask, and what I'm about to do. So go ahead and tune in, because I can tell you, it's going to be interesting. But before I go ahead and introduce today's guest, I'm going to ask you to do what I always ask you to do every day of the week, Monday through Friday, and that is to go out and be an evangelist for the Roundtable Talk Show. There's someone in your house, in your neighborhood, maybe it's your boss, I don't know, but there's someone that you know that needs this information today. This information will help their business. It might just save their lives, but they won't have this information unless you go ahead and share the show with them. And as I always say, friends don't let friends miss out on the Roundtable Talk Show. So while you're introducing the show to your friends, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our very first guest, Miss Karen Burjo. With her passion for helping others, she decided to put her efforts into becoming an online business owner and founded Making Sense Count, plus the Financial Success Society membership. She wanted to create a financial community where high-achieving professionals could feel comfortable learning about managing personal finances and investing, regardless of their knowledge level. Good morning, Karen. How are you?
Oh, I am great. And actually, Friday is my favorite day of the week as well. So we are kindred spirits.
I love it. It's just so relaxing. You know, when I worked a corporate job, that 40 hours, actually I was doing more like 80, but I'm not going to brag. But on Friday, it was that one day where you could just relax. You could be yourself, but you still got your work done.
That's exactly it. And then you slide into the weekend, and I consider this 3-day weekend every week.
Yes, absolutely. So tell us, Karen, the people want to know, who are you? What do you do? And what are you passionate about?
Well, to give you a little background on me, I retired 4 years ago at age 50. So for those doing the math, I am 54 as of last month. I actually was a financial planner my entire career. So I've worked very much with all of the major life insurance companies, insurance carriers, and I'm very well aware as far as like how the stock market works and investments. And what I found during my career is women tended to be the most overlooked when it came to their investing and being talked down to in meetings. And it's not something that happened all of the time, but it did happen more than I'd like to see or say that it happened. And it became my personal goal to actually work with, again, high achieving professional women who are very stretched on time, but yet need to get their finances in order. So what we did is I created Making Sense Count, and I took my business from being one-on-one to one-to-many. So what I do is I've got a community of women in my membership, and it's not time consuming. We get together maybe twice a month. And what we do is we go through the process of starting with their finances, making sure they're comfortable with that, all the way to their investment strategies, as well as their legacy planning. So it is involved. I know it's overwhelming. Women tend to put themselves on the back burner and they'll say, I'll get to it later, but yet they never quite do. And for as high achieving and go-getters as they are in their business life or corporate life, people would be surprised on how they really don't have it together personally. And they kind of have that secret fear that, am I really going to be able to retire or have a financially secure future? And that's what I do, is I help bridge that gap.
Wow, that's interesting. What stood out to me in what you said, Karen, is when you said it's not time consuming. And you talk about high achieving women. And I speak with them all the time. And it used to be the question of how much is this going to cost me? When you're a certain mindset, is how much is this going to cost? But when you get into high achieving women, it's not about the cost. It's like, how much time is this going to take? Because I don't have the time to add anything else to my plate. So it's wonderful that you even mentioned that.
Yeah, and that's just it, because with my membership, that's what I geared it around, was to have it work for them on their schedule. Because the last thing a woman can take on is, she's already business, busy day to day. So the idea is to have her get and be able to move financially forward on her schedule that works for her. But what I found is these women, they love the community aspect that we provide, and I'll have a hot seat to where I'll put one of them in the hot seat maybe once a month or once every 2 months, saying, I see that this worked for you. Explain to the other women here how it worked for you and how it can be done. Because like you say, it doesn't have to come all from you. They learn in a community and they love that. And my ultimate goal, so they don't get stuck through the process, is, since I'm no longer like an actual I'm not licensed as a financial advisor as I was before, but having that conduit for attorneys, CPAs, and financial advisors within the membership, so these women are already comfortable with them. And I do have a few strong men in there too. I'm not saying it's 100% women, but strong men can handle it.
Okay, well, I don't know. I always tell people that the guests pick the dates they want to appear. I don't decide what day they appear, but somehow, some way, there's always a common theme in each show. First, I thought it was like, okay, kind of random. Almost 300 episodes later, it's not random at all. Karen, what you were talking about, I'm pretty sure our next guest has her views on it, Miss Randa Hoffman. Randa is the owner and financial planner at Radiant Wealth Planning, a fee-only financial planning and investment management firm exclusively for women. She helps ease the uncertainty around retirement, tax planning, and transitioning wealth so that women can live a radiant life. She holds an MBA and EA and lives right here at home in Newport Beach. Good morning, Randa. How are you?
Hey, Sharifa, thanks for having me on the show. This is awesome.
Yes. What did you think about what Karen had to say?
Oh my God, if you can see my heart smile right now, like I am so happy. Everything I wanted to give her like a big hug. She's my career sister. She doesn't even know it yet, but it's just,
we're huggers here in Cali, in Southern Cali.
Yeah, we are actually. It is so good. We need to uplift each other. Like honestly, and there is this mentality, not mentality, a lot of things I've heard is women getting divorced, and she's like, well, I know I should talk to somebody, but I don't want to talk to somebody that's going to judge me, that's going to talk down to me, and it's, they're just gonna, I don't know if I can trust. So what happens, they keep their cash in a savings account or a checking account, and then they don't do anything, or they spend through it, and that was the retirement money. So it's like, no, we can't do that anymore. We really need to uplift each other. I'm like, I'm here. It's good. We're gonna do this. Yeah.
Wow. Well, tell us about yourself, Randa.
So I am actually a career changer. So 12 years I was in IT and project management. And at some point, I was at Liberty Mutual Insurance and the project got canceled. And I'm like, you know what? This is such a great opportunity. 2 months of notice and a severance package. What do I really want to do in the second half of my life? Well, it's like, oh, I love finances. So I ended up going to personal finance at Edward Jones, was there for about a little over 2.5 years. And then once again, this little intuition, my heart calling, right? What do I really want to do? Well, I want to build my legacy. The Edward Jones legacy has been there for 100 years. It's not going away. What about me? What about my legacy? And how do I want to show up in the world? And what do I want to accomplish? I'm like, well, I guess that means I have to start my own firm. It's like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And so here I am, started my own firm, moved to California. And it's interesting. I have a lot of stories of business use cases of what not to do when you start a business.
Okay, we might have to start with that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come back to you, Randa, because I don't want to go in a different direction. I want to go ahead and introduce our next guest, Mr. Arpit Agarwal. Arpit is a freelance SEO copywriter with almost 2 years of experience. He helped businesses like Aarna Tech Solutions, DIYguru, Peoplebox, Design Solutions, Careers 360, and many more. Good morning, Arpit. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Sharifa.
Thank you for being here. Tell us about yourself, Arpit.
Sure. Actually, the SEO copywriting skill is firstly misjudged a lot because not being taught in industries. It's not there's any specific school for it, right? And obviously, SEO has a very bad rep in the industry. Like SEO is about just stuffing the keywords there and getting a content rank on Google. So it's my bit to like change that little perception from it. And honestly, Google is doing also good share of it, like promoting the expertise here. I don't know if you guys have heard about the expertise at authority and trustworthiness. The Google is promoting the more authoritative content written by very genuine writers and having that amount of backlinks there. So in this, copywriting has played a very big role, and amalgamating that with SEO, it brings out the SEO copywriting in itself. And so far, it's awesome. Like I have a very limited experience, but in that phase, I really enjoyed the brand. I really enjoyed the domain. I recently graduated from my college as well. In fact, today I graduated from it. This morning I was giving my exam there.
You are interesting. You are funny. You got a little sense of humor. I'm going to come back to you, Arpit. I want to go ahead and introduce our next guest, okay? We have the lovely Miss Elena Toumaras. Elena is a mother and business owner in Queens, New York. She is a registered dietitian and dancer on a mission to help women feel empowered and confident in their bodies and selves, regardless of size, shape, and color. Good morning, Elena. How are you?
Good morning. Great. Thank you for having me, Sharifa.
You are so welcome. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so growing up, I was a dancer, and I think we know notoriously the dance world has a lot of ups and downs in terms of how dancers are made to feel based off of their body, their skills. There's a lot of shows out there in the media that really kind of push this negative side of it. And I experienced the negatives and the positives. So growing up, my cousin and I, who we own a dance studio here in New York together for the past 6 years, there were things that we wanted to change about the industry, right? But being 10, 11 years old, thinking about it, we didn't know how. Now, as we've grown and own our business, I also then continued in school to become a registered dietitian, right? A nutritionist, as a lot of people know. And then I started realizing even within nutrition, there are things that I wanted to change. The field is very antiquated, really like, just like in terms of body image, body size, diet, really white focused as well. So I'm seeing a lot of interesting connections that are just like really old thoughts in dance and nutrition. And I've recently started this mission to like, how do we make women especially, and men too, of course, they are not immune to diet culture and the toxicity of all of these things. But how do we really help women and female children growing in this world, in this society, to really feel empowered on their skills in dance, but also in their bodies as they grow up? Like, it's so interesting with Randa and Karen talking about uplifting women and empowering them in terms of finances, right? Something that historically women aren't really privy to or know about. How do we continue to empower young girls and women so that they can achieve whatever they want, even if it's not in dance, or if, let's say their bodies look a different way? How do we make them feel empowered, confident in themselves, and that they can be limitless in anything that they can do?
Wow, very interesting. I'm going to come back to you. I want to introduce, because I've got so many questions today, so I'm kind of speeding through, but I can tell there's so many different directions we're going to. This is fun. I love what I do. I just do. I want to introduce Miss Lisa Steele. From her beautiful farm in Maine, Lisa has contributed to the backyard chicken keeping community for more than a decade. She's an author, fifth-generation chicken keeper, master gardener, coop-to-kitchen cook, and host of the award-winning TV show, Welcome to My Farm. Good morning, Lisa. How are you?
Hi, thanks for having me. I just have to say your comments about the guests and how they line up and how they're all connected is just crazy. And it's funny that you left me for last because I am an accountant, or I used to be an accountant. I worked on Wall Street. So I have connections to the two financial planner type people, with that financial background. And I too was a career changer. I, went to college, got out of school, went to work on Wall Street, and then I realized it just wasn't me. I wasn't living my passion. I wasn't loving what I was doing. So I started raising chickens just kind of randomly, and ended up turning it into this business, which obviously you need a background in business to run a business. So having that degree and knowing about profit margins and how to do my taxes and all these kinds of things have just helped me so much. And I think they've helped me succeed, whereas others haven't, because people have talents, or they have passions, or they have a skill, or they can make something beautiful. But if you don't know how to run a business, you're not going to succeed, because you need that strong foundation. But then I'm also kind of connected to Elena, because I really work hard to try to encourage people to raise chickens and grow gardens and eat healthy and grow their own food and all that kind of stuff. So, Arpit, I'm so bad with names.
Scared you. I think I did that to you, Lisa. I think I was so focused on the names prior to the show. It's like, we want to make sure I say everyone's
freaked out.
Arpit.
Well, anyway, he with the SEO and the whole online thing, I mean, I basically can run my business from my phone. I mean, I sell products and I have a blog and a TV show and books and everything, but literally I could do it from my phone, and SEO and all that kind of social media stuff is so important to what I do. So yeah, I'm like kind of like the combination. If you took the other four of you and like squished you together, I think I would pop out.
Wonderful. Randa, what do you say to that?
I just love that. So I was thinking, I'm like, I wonder if my other chapter of my life is going to be chickens, doing something with chickens. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. No. I love it. That is so true. Listen, there's something about having a passion and a heart's calling to do something. Okay, that's really good, and that's important. That's important to follow. But what I'm learning, in this whole process is that you need to be the realistic. You need to have, okay, do I know how to run a business? What does that mean? I'm not going to have income for the first X amount of months, years, whatever it may be. What does that mean? How am I going to live? You have to have that realistic view as well, and not just like, oh, it's kind of, my mentality for the longest time is, I'll figure it out. It's okay. And that's true. I have, but it doesn't.
Not everybody can do that, though. Yeah, and I think the hardest part is people have to get away from the hourly wage mentality. I hear a lot of bloggers or other people saying that, well, I want to work with this brand, but I don't know how to charge them. And people say, well, figure out how many hours it's going to take you. And I'm like, no, the brand doesn't care how long this is going to take you. They care how much product you're going to sell for them. So it's a whole different mindset, being your own boss, running your own business. You cannot, if you want to get paid by the hour, you need to stay in your cubicle and get paid by the hour every Friday or every other Friday. It's hard when you can't count on a paycheck that is consistent month to month when your bills all are. That's like you said with financial planning, that's a big piece of it is the budgeting and just being realistic about it.
Yes. Karen, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
What's kind of funny about this is, and I'm going to go back to when it comes to budgeting and numbers kind of freak people out and stuff like that. I'm the first one to admit, when it comes to my subscriber list and my members, they know I completely geek out on budgets. I love budgets. But you really do have to find your passion. And that's actually why I started so early in my career. I always knew that if I wanted to make money, I had to be where the money was, and why I became a financial advisor to begin with, because I wanted to learn everything I possibly could. And it was interesting because in my first day of my second year of being an advisor, they made me a training manager because I was kind of acting as a conduit in that world, because I'm taking these complex topics and simplifying it so people can understand it, and it's not talking over people's heads. So to me, that actually was my passion. And when I retired, I thought, okay, great. What do I do now besides buy shoes? So
Hey, Karen, hey, ain't nothing wrong with buying shoes, but I'm just saying, I totally agree. But I just want to, again, I warned you kind of at the beginning, it's Friday, so I don't know which way I'm going, but I want to switch topics for a minute with you, Karen. Do you ever feel like you've ever been in meetings or situations with people where they just felt like you were just cute? I always feel as women, I've been in meetings where men have said to me, like I'm an executive, and they have said to me, well, just sit there and look cute. And I'm like, I didn't come to look cute. And then I read this, I was watching this documentary or something with Dolly Parton, and she made this statement where she said that at first people used to think that she was just a dumb blonde. And she said, by the time they figured out how intelligent I was, I've gotten all their money and left. I was like, that's kind of interesting. And sometimes I'll say to myself, I got to do the dumb blonde act. Karen, I love to hear your thoughts.
As a blonde, and Karen,
Okay.
Karen's a blonde too. It's our superpower. Because we fool them because they think we're just dumb blondes, but we're not. And by the time they realize we're not, then we're in charge. So I see it as an advantage.
It is a complete advantage. It is a complete advantage. And the reason is because, and I've always done this, is I've always, the saying I've always used is I've always flown low under the radar because they never see you coming. And then when you actually come up with something that is just phenomenal, and it's phenomenal anyway, but you're just going to save it or hold it until you need to, it blows people out of the water. So yeah, it's kind of like even women in general, but being a blonde on top of it, it's like, you're right, sit there and let's talk about shopping and couponing, and we'll get to the budgeting stuff and talk to your significant other about that if it happens to be a man. That used to make me crazy. We are so much more capable than that. And that's why I really reach out to women, because I've seen how they've been treated and it's horrible.
Yes.
I have gotten that. I've gotten like, oh, you're so cute. You must be dumb.
Wow. Somebody
actually
to your
said
face?
that. Yes.
To your face?
Yes. I'm like, oh, my friend, you are so mistaken, but let's go with it. He did not become a client. I told him we're not a good fit, right? Or I've gotten like, oh, if you know anything about economic history, you would know. And I'm like, dude, you're paying me to manage your money. So the joke's on you. But
right. But it was something that you said, Randa, that I don't want to gloss over. It was so key. I'm gonna want you to say it again. We're not a good fit.
oh, it's okay to say that. It's okay. When I started my career, it's like, take anybody who fogs a mirror. And then when I started this firm, I'm like, I am not doing that again. Ever again. So, it's okay. We're not a good fit. I'll find somebody for you that's no problem. But I want to work with the people that I want to work with. My niche is women. We're half the population. What kind of niche is that? But for some reason, it's a niche. And even within women, some people aren't a good fit for me either, So that's okay. That's okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Elena, what are your thoughts so far?
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to add to that. I feel like once we all do branch out to work for ourselves, the ideal customer, the niche is so much more important, right? Because then we can just be working for whatever firm, and whatever customers they get are now our clients, which I think causes a lot of misery, right? That we're just like dealing with people who badger us and just like beat us down. But then once you're on your own, like even for us with the dance studio, I realized the type of families I want. And it's made life so much better in business. And you don't have as many days of like, oh, why did I quit my day job and do this on my own? Because now, you're working with people that just align with you and love what you do and are 100% in.
Mm-hmm. Arpit, do you get those customers that you have to say, you know what? Maybe we are just not a good fit.
Most of the times. I get 10 leads about a month and I filter out 2 and 3 from LinkedIn. Most of the leads out of it. I'll tell you, ma'am, like what are the reasons are there. So firstly, the budget is out of the place. Like I'm talking about the more of the process. Like many people think that SEO is about just getting the things done and you're gonna see the results after 1 week. I'd say just if you want to get the results after 1 week, why not to have Facebook ads instead?
Yes, absolutely.
I have a question for Karen. Actually, I was listening to a speech about budgeting. Then she explained about when she was in the work, she would like do the complex task into the meaningful data. Can she elaborate more about it? I'm curious to know.
Karen, the question is for you.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that again?
Sure, Karen. My question is, when you were talking about the budgeting and all, you said that when you were in the service, you do the complex work, and also you get the complex structure and you turn out into meaningful data. Like, am I going right?
So what you're saying, I just want to make sure, because I think what part of the problem is that the internet connection from here to India. So what I'm hearing, because I'm gonna translate, is with the budget that she's doing, and she received the complex data. What was the last part?
She converted into this meaningful, in this simple structure.
Were you able to put it into a meaningful structure?
Yeah, and actually the way that I look at, I know that budgeting, people tend to look at budgeting like it's a bad word. What I look at it and how I present it to clients is you're basically taking money that you're already spending, and you're repositioning it to purchasing things or applying to things that are most important to you. So it's not to where it's being taken away, it's just being taken and put somewhere else that's more meaningful to you. So I don't like to bog people down with the numbers because people's eyes do glass over. I kind of use more like stories as far as like, well, if you had this much money or discretionary money or this lump sum of money, what would you really want to do with that? Would you want to look at more philanthropic causes? Would you want to do something for yourself, a spouse, a family member? So it really, everyone's situation is different in what they want to do and apply it toward.
That makes absolute sense. So we're going to go left because we went right and I got lost along the way. I had a question for Lisa. When you decide, because you're just so calm, you was like, you know, I was in the world and then I just wanted to just raise chickens. Like, what happened? What was the process? Did you leave home? Were you already on a farm? You know?
We were sort of. There was a bit of a break because I sort of decided it wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. It wasn't my passion. I went to school for accounting basically because it made sense to me. I understood if I went to school and got an accounting degree, I would get out and be an accountant. You know, some of the other majors or careers, I wasn't exactly sure what my job would be. That sort of made me a little bit nervous, but that was very clear cut to me. I definitely have an analytical side, but then eventually my other side won out and I realized that I could not sit in a cubicle any longer. It wasn't working for me. And what somebody mentioned, I guess it was Elena, when you work for a company, you have to work for their clients and the employees that they hire, and you don't have control over the people that you're dealing with on a daily basis. And I think that that is really important in that I can choose which brands I work with now. You know, if I like the people, if I like the product, I'm not forced to just work with whoever my company has decided. So I kind of had already made that decision and was sort of, I guess you'd say, in between jobs when I started raising the chickens, and I didn't set out for it to be my career at all. I sort of fell into it and made some decisions along the way, and being sort of an entrepreneur type, business minded, you know, I started saying, wait a minute, I can make some money doing this. You know, it's fun and I love it, but I can also monetize it.
Okay, so you were already on the farm.
Right, exactly.
Okay, no, that's wonderful. Lisa, let me tell you, I can relate. I'm a talk show host that went to college to be an accountant. So I can relate. And it was exactly what you said. It was the whole cubicle thing. You know, I need to be free. I need to be able to move. All my life, I was that little kid that when everybody else was trying to do their homework or they work in class, I just wanted to talk to everybody. I was walking around talking to everybody. So I can't be confined to a cubicle. So I can completely relate with you.
I got in trouble for talking during fire drills in grammar school because like we would all be standing outside and I'd be like talking away and they're like, this is a fire drill, you're not supposed to talk during the fire drill.
Yeah, that would be me. That would be me. I always got in trouble for talking, and yet here I am.
Right, and
Boys
like you're
and
doing what you're
girls.
supposed to do. But I
Tune
mean,
in.
I love Excel. I love spreadsheets. I mean, I make spreadsheets for everything. I think especially for a woman, having an accounting background is a really, really smart thing to do. For all the reasons that everybody has mentioned, that, you know, if you're married, you need to take control of your finances. You need to at least understand what's happening with your money in case of death or divorce or whatever it may be. It's just really important. And I think it's in a lot of cases, women don't think that finances are their thing or it's not a female thing. But in reality, you know, it's almost like you need to learn how to, you know, cook and sew and do laundry and do your finances.
Yes,
Not just
absolutely.
the day-to-day finances, you know, because I think we tend to do the day-to-day finances, but it's sorry, that was Toots, and there she goes, the cat. But it's not just the day-to-day finances, it's the investing, that long-term, which
Exactly.
traditionally, oh, my husband takes care of it. Like, no, that's not happening anymore. Come here, sweet pea, we're gonna take care of you. So, yeah. Mhm.
Have you
I think
ever been on a
long-term
farm,
planning.
Randa?
Huh?
Have you ever been on a farm, Randa?
Yeah, no, that's not my thing. I found a picture when I was a little girl on a horse and I was kind of sideways. I'm like, oh my God, nothing's ever changed. But I do want to do the goats, yoga and goats, the baby goats. That I do want to do.
Elena, you smiled. You agreeing?
Well, I'm born and raised in New York City, so I'm not a big farm person, but I am going to one with my son tomorrow, so he can, like, you know, feed the animals, you know, like one of those.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's fun, but like 2 hours later, I'm like, gotta go.
So you like me, you just want to get credit for having taken him. Get the pictures, do the photo
Yeah,
op. Like, we
the
was here,
Instagram
Mom, took you to
photos.
the farm. I love it. You going out to the farm, Karen?
You know, we actually have a farm that's not too far from here that we take our grandson to, and it's great. You're out there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, call it good, and he's happy.
Only reason I asked Randa that question is because when you were like, come here, little girl, that's kind of like a country thing to me, like a farm kind of feel, like when they're like, let me show you how the real world works. Get out there and get that rake and start, you know what I mean? Like, that's just kind of the vibe. At least I'm stereotyping, I'm generalizing. Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay. It's okay.
Well,
No, you're right.
I was born in Saudi Arabia and raised in Amman, Jordan.
Oh, wow.
And that is the mentality. Like you just go. I don't know. Go figure it out. Like, this is just, you know, go, come here. Let me show you how it's done. You know, and you're just tinkering in the backyard doing something, but yeah.
And eventually you figure it out. Are you a tinkerer, Arpit?
So yeah, just a normal rational thinker.
You just a tinker. Like, do you like to tinker with stuff, play with things, create things, make things with your hands?
That being said, I'm more of a I'm more of a theoretical person to believe on the basis of the concepts that have been said and done, and to rely on that and to create my own version on it. I just try to refrain from like just redrawing the view.
Mm-hmm. You create your own version of it. I like this. What I did, I created my own version of a talk show. They wouldn't give me what I wanted. I said, you know what? I'm gonna create my own show. So I hear you, Arpit. Elena, how you doing over there?
I'm good. I'm loving this.
Good. I'm glad, because if not, everybody be signing off. I want to talk nutrition for a moment.
Yeah.
Like, and one of the things that you mentioned was like the negative aspect. And too often, you know, we see the worst case scenarios. We see the gymnasts who are starving themselves. We see all these different situations, but unless they go to the extreme, people don't necessarily see a problem with it. Have you seen it, or maybe I'm wrong?
Yeah, I mean, I think I hate to say I've been trying to like figure out how to say this, but I do feel like society has really given all of us some type of disordered eating.
Mm-hmm.
Like now, I think in recent years, There's something like called orthorexia, this like obsession with organic eating, clean eating, all this stuff. And that like added layer of guilt when we enjoy cookies or cake or ice cream or whatever. And even just that like negative self-talk that we'll have after, right? Like, oh, I'll have to, I can't believe I did that. I have to go exercise more tomorrow or something like that to kind of make up for that bad behavior. And I mean, going to school, 15 or so years ago in nutrition, I mean, that was kind of just hammered in, like, these are the good foods, these are the bad foods, and you want people to be limiting the bad foods. Whereas now the school of thought that I'm in and I feel is really growing, is telling us like, why do we label foods good and bad? There really is none. There's just food. And there's, this emotional eating aspect or eating for just purely fuel, like both are valid, right? Like if we go out for celebrating something, we're going to go eat to enjoy, we're going to socialize, and there's nothing wrong with that. So it's just so interesting because like you said, there's those extremes, right? Especially in athletes, in people in the media, TV, modeling, movies, right? I mean, you see these huge fluctuations, but we're not really thinking about what's happening mentally, right? Just going through this constantly. And even us, just the regular old people, right? Like now we had this pandemic where, like, I mean, the size of it, just like understanding, like someone could die tomorrow, loved ones die today, and then now we're flipping and we're like, we'll get that summer body ready, lose the pandemic 15, and it's like, whoa, like we literally just went through a global pandemic. Like we could probably chill with that anxiety, that rush to lose this extra weight, which was totally warranted. Like if you stress eat because of a global pandemic, like I did too, I'm with you, and so I'm just like really working on just changing this mentality and how we view food and our bodies.
That's so true. My pet peeve is around Thanksgiving when they have all these suggestions on how to like fat-free or, save calories. I'm like, it's Thanksgiving. It's one day a year. Let's just eat all the gravy and all the turkey skin and all the, like, why are we sucking the joy out of like a holiday that's one day a year? Yeah, it makes no sense to me. And I think that, if you just sort of focus on trying to eat local and fresh and that, if you have the cake or the pie, I mean, I love to bake and I'm not going to stop baking because whatever, or the whole GMO thing, people, I'll show a picture of like some corn I grew or something, or beets or something, and someone will be like, is that non-GMO? Is that organic? And I'm thinking, you probably don't even know what you're talking about. And I grew it in my backyard. So I'm pretty sure that it's healthier than anything else I could be eating.
Absolutely.
Like you said, you just gotta chill about food.
And yeah, there's so many layers to it, so many. And then what's really interesting, that I'm really starting to dig into is like the origins of diet culture, right? Which is really, or was created by a male-driven society to keep women small, right? Because if we can make women focus on their bodies, focus on their intake, focus on this, they're not going to have time, they're not going to have the mind space to become these high-achieving women in society. And we're slowly just breaking down those barriers, right? And then if we talk even in terms of like socioeconomic status and color, right? Again, there are these systems to keep certain people of income levels and color small. And that aspect of diet culture, right? Like BIPOC bodies are larger bodies, like that is shunned as well. So there's so many like layers to it that I'm like mind blown. And I'm like, this is it. Like I just get chills saying these things. I'm like, this is what I'm here on earth to do. I love to dance. I studied nutrition, and now I'm bringing them both together by like just breaking SHIT up, like, so I should have asked about, but
no, you're fine. You're fine. As long as you don't offend me, you can say whatever you want. But you know what? I'm sorry. I just got to pat myself on the back right now, because this is a beautiful show. That's what you came here to say. At the beginning, when you were talking about dance and nutrition, I was like, okay, she's a dancer. That's good. Happy, right? But what you just gave us is and I want to know if I'm alone on this, but a message that the world needs to hear. I never even heard of that diagnosis, but what you were saying, it resonated with truth. Am I alone, ladies? Lisa, Karen, Randa?
I think
I agree.
I'm curious, how much do you work on mindset? Because I competed in bikini competition, which is a division of bodybuilding, right? And it was like, oh my God, everybody is so leaner than me. Look, I'm the chunky one on the stage. That's all mindset. I mean, that's not a healthy either, right? So I take that was to the other extreme. But wow, mindset. I've learned how, I want to say weak, but not how much work I needed to do on my body image. But how do you do that? That's like a whole different world.
It's so hard. I mean, even like myself going through it and having that background, like even me, being pregnant and this and that, like just that body fluctuation that especially women, just hormonally too, like encounter. It's like, okay, I have the knowledge. I know what I have to know, but you just sometimes can't change that feeling. So it takes so much work, and even with when I was doing like private nutrition, that's what we worked on a lot of the time. A lot of people come to see a dietitian to lose weight, right? They're like, whatever I'm doing is wrong. It's not working. So just tell me what to do. But that mindset, like sometimes people aren't as open to change it, right? And it's tough. Then you kind of have to have that conversation, like the fit might not be right here. And also like pre-consult of like, this is what I focus on. Like, yeah, we want to make you reach your goals, but also how do we make sure that the mental health is also improving as well?
You know what I think is so powerful about this? And the reason I'm so excited about this moment is because everybody's wonderful. And I don't like when I pick people apart, but for this particular topic is the fact that Elena was here and Lisa was here. So you have somebody who's focused on nutrition and then somebody who is telling America we have to eat more organic. And it just reminds me of one of the things my father always said, everything in moderation, everything in moderation. And what I believe, like you're absolutely correct, but I believe as a society and a people, I can only speak to for many of the people that I know, and what I see is we don't eat enough that's organic. We don't eat enough that's natural. We're so, fast foods and junk that we're off balance. So I agree 100%, but I also think we need to have more that's more, more in our diet that's natural. One of the things that my family knows and we always talk about is as a kid, I hated vegetables. I like literally put my little foot down. No, I'm not eating that. I had a great mom, smart mom. My mom figured out what I liked. I'm 45 years old. If I go to any family gathering, somebody will say to me, Sharifa, we made you greens. I eat a lot of greens because that's what I like. Yeah. Lisa, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
No, I think that's true. And I also believe that when you get kids involved in gardening, raising chickens, whatever, whether it's in school or at home, I have read so many articles about how when kids grow things themselves, they're so excited to eat them. So they might never want to eat Brussels sprouts on the plate, but if they actually grow that plant and you let them pick them, maybe even help cooking them, then they're a lot more open to trying different foods, which I think is great because also learning the skills of gardening and all that. But yeah, I'm absolutely all about your foundation should be, fairly healthy, but you cannot deprive yourself because that becomes so unhealthy. If I want to eat something that's totally bad for me, I'm going to, and I'm not going to freak the next day that, I need to do this or do that. But I think like Elena said, a lot of it is education, mindset, because if you feel guilty every time you eat something good, that just becomes totally unhealthy. But you can't live on McDonald's every day either. Like there has to be some kind of personal responsibility. But as long as you get that foundation, and like you said, you find a vegetable you like, great, eat it, that's the one you eat. You might not like another one. I hate cauliflower. I don't like cauliflower rice. It's not rice, it's cauliflower. And I think I'm going to be okay if I don't ever eat cauliflower.
You're not going to be a healthy, normal adult, okay? I'm just kidding. You'll be all right. Karen, I'd love to hear any thoughts you have.
I actually wanted to go back to something that Lisa had said before this last discussion. And this is when she was talking about corn and GMO, and they probably don't even know what they're thinking or talking about to begin with. To me, that applies to anything because, of course, everyone has an opinion about something. What's important is to be informed about it before you start spouting off.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And social media has just, I mean, people ask me if something is GMO or non-GMO when a GMO version doesn't even exist. I mean, there's just so much misinformation and bad information and non-information, and everyone needs to throw in their 2 cents without having any idea what they're talking about. And it just becomes this big, huge social media mess, you know,
What
instead of
about
going to an educational or scientific site or something like that.
what about
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on this whole gluten-free? Like that's the one, like all of a sudden gluten just, it was a thing. And I had never heard of gluten before. And now every package, this is gluten-free, this is gluten. What is a gluten?
Um,
Lisa.
yeah.
Yeah, no, Elena definitely should answer this question.
Oh,
But
I'm
yes,
sorry, Elena. Sorry.
no, but I would like to say that yes, everyone is on this. Like, I don't believe in cutting anything out of your diet unless you physically cannot tolerate it. Like, there are people that are allergic to peanuts or allergic to this or allergic to that. But if you're going carb free or gluten free or whatever for no health reason, I don't think that it's healthy. I mean, we're meant to eat a varied diet of like, we're omnivores. Like, we're supposed to eat everything all the time.
Elena. It's
Yeah.
all the time. I'm gonna come hang out with Lisa. I bet you make a good steak, Lisa. I'm sorry. I'm all
Well,
about me.
I don't eat chicken, but I do eat steak. Yes.
See, I didn't ask. She loves the babies, the chickens. I'm sorry, I got distracted. Elena.
No, yeah, it's all good. And 100% Lisa. I think again that trend grew because we do have a slightly increasing population that is celiac or gluten intolerant. So gluten is basically when wheat mixes with water, these two proteins kind of come out. And they say because of a lot of processing, right? So this GMO, all this fun stuff that we're seeing in our food culture, in the food business, is causing intolerances to happen. But basically, it's just natural. What happens to like when you're making a dough, that gluten and gliadin are two proteins in the wheat, and so people might be intolerant to the gluten one. So that's why you'll use different things. You won't use wheat for like, breads, pastas, and all that. But again, it's not a large amount, and I think just it sounded cool, gluten-free. And oh yes, I mean, listen, if anyone has intolerances to gluten, like everyone knows their own body, they're the experts. So I can't say it's not real. But when it became like a health phase, like, and everyone's like, oh, it'll help you lose weight, like you're essentially still eating just another carbohydrate, and there's nothing wrong with carbs. But if you're just replacing it with something different, that like a lot of people who need to be gluten-free don't love that lifestyle, right? Like it's been 20, 30, 40 years, and now they're getting good gluten-free products, right? Like I've tried gluten-free bread and they all suck, like I wouldn't choose that life.
Give me my gluten. I'm sorry. We have a question for you, Elena. So
Yeah.
CJ wants to know, he says, can you ask about aspartame
Okay.
and why the FDA allows it in our food supply, and is it good for our bodies?
Yeah, so kind of similar, right? Like I think those aspartame, all those artificial sugars, they just became really popular because everyone got scared of carbs. Everyone got scared of sugar. They're like, oh, this is gonna give you that same taste, and not the calories, right? Because that's what we're so scared of, the calories. And then of course you have people who have type 1, type 2 diabetes who need to watch their sugar intake, and this was just like, this is the best thing ever. And so I'm not 100% clear on why it's allowed. I just feel like from what I know, the science isn't there to say 100% it can cause cancer in humans. So that's why it's just like, hands up, we'll leave it in the food. But like I believe Lisa mentioned earlier, it's about that education, right? Like if you're going to have a diet soda that has this stuff, or drink and enjoy in moderation, like you said, Sharifa, the soda, that like the regular soda, like I would pick the regular soda, because for me the flavor is a world of difference between the regular and the diet. And then sometimes, again, the way our minds work with this diet culture that we're being fed is like, well, because it's diet, now I could drink a whole lot, right? Like I could just chug a 6-pack or a liter bottle or whatever. And like, no, that's not really, like, again, fixing our mentality around food, because we're like, oh, this is the good stuff, so I could just, like, I won't have a negative consequence. And now we're seeing it's really not that good for you. Like it's chemicals.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. I'd rather eat real food. Like if I'm going to bake, I'm going to use heavy cream. I'm going to use butter. I'm going to use real sugar. I mean, if I were diabetic, I just wouldn't be eating sweets and baked goods. Like I would just cut them out of my diet because my body says you can't have the sugar. I'm not going to use the sugar replacement and still eat garbage. Like if I'm going to eat something decadent, I want it to be like real ingredients.
Right. I'm gonna come hang out with you, Lisa. You sound like you got some good food
I know,
baking
I'm
down
like,
there
what
on
can
that
we
farm.
do?
There.
You're talking to somebody who doesn't cook, so I'm listening to Lisa. I'm like, that sounds so good.
You want to go? We can meet up at LAX, Randa.
Seriously, Lisa, we'll be over
That's
this
funny.
weekend.
Yeah, right.
We'll
But
set
I
up
mean,
shop.
I agree with you. You know what irritates me is those, like you said, Thanksgiving dinner, but you go to like somebody's wedding or a birthday celebration. It'll be that one person like, I'm on a diet. I can't have the cake. Like, really? It's a wedding.
Exactly.
Like, that to me is so infuriating.
Yep.
This has been a very interesting conversation. I have truly enjoyed it. Now, we are coming down to the last few minutes of the show. And what I love to do at the end of every show is just simply allow my guests the opportunity to speak directly to the audience, to everyone who is watching this show live, as well as everyone who is watching it in the archives, and let them know what you want them to take away from your appearance here today. And we're going to start with you, Arpit.
Oh, sure. My takeaway here is firstly, you need to focus on your budget, as Karen said about it, Elena said about it. You need to focus on your nutrition as it directly impacts your mental health. Like the Lisa said about it, she said to have Sharifa said about to have a proper balance of the organic food and the natural food and the inorganic food. And even though you are a vegetable thief about eating the food, but still you need to have a knack of eating the more of the natural diet. And as Randa said, that to have more about the woman perception towards finances and to be more encouraged towards taking that domain. So even though your domain has not, even though your legacy has not taken that particular domain, you still have the courage to take forward to it. And my takeaway, sorry about that. Sorry about that. My key takeaway from it is that to have a knack of like better, like there's a food there on the plate, to really think over it and to create something better out of it, create a better version of it, and have a proper concentration to like give better stuff to the world. Yeah.
I like it. Arpit's message is create your own, create a better version of whatever it is that you see. I love it. Thank you. Karen, what do you have for us?
Well, I want to start with is a firm belief that I have, and that is that I believe you control your finances. They do not control you. And regardless of what your financial savvy is, with investing, with budgeting, with looking further into the future long term, you owe it to yourself to find the resources that you're comfortable with and the people that you're comfortable with and move financially forward.
And where can they find more information about you?
You can contact me directly or go to my site, which is makingsensecount.com. You'll also see a page on my site, which is the Financial Success Society membership. It is a closed membership. It only opens once a year, but we do have a wait list on that page where you can go ahead and sign up. And in doing so, you actually get access to my resource library, which covers things from budgeting, investing, life insurance, and estate planning. So at least it gets the ball running now or rolling now until September when we open up the membership again.
Wow, I like that, Karen. I've never heard of that. And you know, my guess, that's when you know you very successful, when you can say, look, we only talk to people one day a year. We'll get back to you in a year. We're busy right now. I love it, Karen. Thank you.
Thank
Randa,
you.
you're welcome. Randa, what do you have for us?
Oh my God, that's so awesome. Okay, so two things and I'll make it quick. One, if you have that heart calling, please follow through. You know, I started this business, you know, Radiant Wealth Planning. I was convinced I was going to be homeless. I knew where I was going to put Toots's litter box. I had figured out where I was going to take a shower. It was dark. That's just part of the process. Now I see it as such a privilege. I have learned so much that a lot of people, they don't have this lesson. So it's like, oh my God, this is so awesome. So that's the first one, to follow your heart calling. And the second one is looking at finances is really hard. have the courage to do it. And it's gonna feel like a pit in your stomach, and that's okay. Partner with somebody you trust, somebody that, you know, some people are gonna at me at this, please don't, that don't get a commission. You know, they have a flat fee, so they are fiduciary by law to give you the best advice and really just be your partner in this. It's hard, it's scary. I know, I've been there. I know, I get it. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I would come to you just for therapy, just so somebody could be like, you know what, I get it. I've been there. I just needed a hug today, Randa. That's why I'm here. I don't even want to talk
know.
about my finances.
Anytime. We'll have juice at your cousin's place, and then we'll do lots of hugs and therapy. I got you.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you. Lisa, what do you have for us?
I'll be really quick because my phone is actually about to die. But I just want to say, be a dumb blonde and raise chickens. Somehow it all just works out.
I love it, Lisa. Thank you. Elena, what do you have for us?
Yeah, just like how Randa said, follow your